Hi, Alex. Thank you for your second essay. Now let's have a look at what you have here. Nowadays, consumer goods have become the most important part of people's lives. Do the advantages of this outweigh the disadvantages? Okay, let's see. These days, society is extremely obsessed with goods consuming. Um, Even though this word order is okay, I would still change the word order to consuming goods. Such a phenomenon, like any other aspect of human activity, you don't need the human activity, has both merits and demerits. Very good use of vocabulary. I personally believe that in this particular case, the cons outweigh the pros. While this is really great, I would even add an emphatic do. And this would add you even more points in grammar range, because what you are trying to do is add emphasis. So adding emphasis by means of using the emphatic do would be really great. This essay will first discuss the harm followed by analysis. Okay, if you say the harm followed by an analysis, you mean you discussed namely the harm which was followed by an analysis, right? So it's not about the harm, right? The harm involved, and then perform an analysis of the economic growth caused by overconsumption and overproduction. Okay, it is your structure is grammatically okay, but it creates such confusion that, as I told you, it makes us think about the harm which was followed by an analysis, which is not your point, obviously. Increasing demand for trade goods is forcing the market to fulfill this need by expanding manufacturing. Therefore, producers are focused merely on the quantity and not the quality of the manufacturing process. Okay, I would take out manufacturing because you have it once here and it wouldn't look good if you repeated yourself that often. According to the World Trade Forum report, mankind has already reached the volume of natural resource usage that can be renewed in 1998. What do you mean? What can be renewed? I'm not sure what you mean here, because your sentence looks as if you mean that the usage can be renewed, and besides, you don't need this comma here either way because you have the relative pronoun that. So I understand this part of the sentence, but I don't understand why this is here, and I can't even guess. Let's see. Ever since we are reaching this limit earlier every year. For instance, in 2018, this line was reached in August, while in the 90s, it was reached only by the end of December. Okay. Still, I don't understand the renewed part in 1998. I understand the rest of it. That's an interesting argument and an interesting way of convincing people. Thus, as long as material items consumption possessive consumption will be on the rise, the Earth ecosystem could experience the changes that cannot be undone. Okay. Okay. I like the argument that you have, but it feels that you haven't explained enough. I have a weird feeling that I haven't reached the point of understanding everything completely. I still have a feeling of, okay, so what? I understand the production thing. I understand the logic of natural resources, and I think this might be a bit excessive, but nevertheless, perhaps you could explain more about the possible repercussions. Which are the possible repercussions of depleting natural resources? Which natural resources do you mean? Which changes cannot be undone? So there are many questions that I could ask that would add clarity. So perhaps you could add clarity and explanation here. And what else you're missing is a concluding sentence. Yeah, I can see that you have it. I can see that you have the thus sentence, but it still needs, it still asks questions, right? You say changes that cannot be undone, and you are trying to scare the reader, and the reader is scared, believe me, but I don't know what exactly I'm scared of. I hope it makes sense. Let's see the second body paragraph. On the other hand, intensive production caused by the growing interest of consumers results in new workplaces and infrastructure investments. Great. For example, Metal Steel Incorporated, a metal producing factory that operates in Kryvyi Rih, Ukraine, has invested over $50 million over the last decade in this industrial city infrastructure project. Okay. Such as the new daycare buildings, such as new buildings for daycares, such as new buildings for daycares, and several middle school renovations. You don't need this. You can put the show that multiple schools were renovated by using the plural with renovations. That's perfectly fine. Moreover, each year over 200 graduates, you don't need find, because 200 graduates is plural by definition. It's not one graduate, it's 200. Find their jobs within this corporation. Find, I would say, find a job with this corporation or its subsidiaries. Great. Production of everyday items requires a qualified workforce, and consequently, plant owners have to invest in the human capital development institutions. Okay, and again, you're opening a new topic that hasn't been discussed. How so? No, I mean, it has been, but it looks like it's opening something further. And I think we're missing a couple of linking words. As production of everyday items requires a qualified workforce, let's say, this investment in the human capital development, this as production of everyday items requires qualified workforce. This investment in the human capital development by plant owners is completely understandable. And understandable, and let's say worth the expense. Let's say I'm trying to make it more of a concluding sentence. But anyway, I really hope that I preserved your ideas. Anyway, we have great ideas. I told you I still have I'm not completely certain what's going on here and which are the repercussions and why are we discussing this, because I was not, let's say, warned enough here. This paragraph is great. I like the positive side of this, but perhaps you could show the shiny, glossy part of the consumer goods, of the consumerism too. But well, there are many ways to address this topic. Anyway, this is a very nice essay. And let's see the conclusion. To conclude, despite the advantages of the so-called overconsumption, this trend could not be kept for any long period of time because of these disadvantages that hurt the whole globe. Okay, why so-called? Why so-called? If you say so-called overconsumption, it means that you don't trust the term, you don't like the term, or you don't think it is legitimate. I would not advise you to use it because overconsumption does exist. This trend could not be continued, and let's preserve the right style, for any longer because of the disadvantages that hurt the whole globe. No, because of the let's say, drastic consequences, consequences that will hurt the nature, the ecology of the whole globe. Because saying that it will hurt the whole globe is a bit simplistic, and in a way it lacks the depth that you obviously show in your previous analysis. Furthermore, to keep the Earth ecosystem sustainable for our offspring, we should switch to the reduce, reuse, recycle lifestyle in the meantime. Okay. I wouldn't say furthermore because you don't develop, you have to conclude. I would say this is why. This is why, to keep the Earth ecosystem sustainable for our offspring, we should switch to the reduce, reuse, recycle lifestyle in the future. In the future, not in the meantime. In the meantime means, well, while all this is happening, let's think about something else. So in the meantime doesn't sound serious enough. In the future, or as soon as possible. I could even say as soon as possible here, you know. Anyway, this is a nice essay. You have almost perfectly answered the task achievement part of the task, but I told you there is still confusion here, and I feel that like the topic hasn't been developed clearly enough. As for coherence and cohesion, again, this paragraph I feel lacks coherence. This one is better. I tried to contribute to improving this paragraph. As for language, grammar, and vocabulary are great. You have a great command of advanced topical vocabulary. I mean, vocabulary is not your problem in most cases. I mean, yes, you do have a couple of slips. As for grammar, also, you have great grammar use. Just make sure that you pay attention to small things like word order, use of the appropriate vocabulary in terms of style, a tense here and there, an article here and there, a plural here and there. Anyway, great job. Keep up the great work, and don't forget, if you want any more essay corrections, do think about purchasing our online course, because you will have another 10 essay corrections. It's 5 of them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I guess. Yes. So please think about that, because if you want to keep receiving feedback, that would be a very interesting option for you.